please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you would please call the roll and read the prepared statement.
Please be advised, this meeting is being taped for video and audio broadcast. Assisted listening devices are available. Mr. Bonifant?
Here.
Mr. Porcello? Here. Mr. Hempstead?
Here.
Mr. Kimmel?
Here.
Mr. Sachinelli?
Here.
Ms. Melendez?
Here.
Mr. Sarasis? Ms. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Sims?
Present.
Mr. Kites?
Here.
Ms. Maggio?
Present.
Mr. De Palma? Ms. O'Toole Gianderco?
Here.
Mr. Igneri?
Here.
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
13 present.
13 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda, acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting, April 25th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Livingston moved.
One.
He raised his hand first. Any corrections, deletions, additions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? And abstentions? Mr. Hempstead is abstained. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Ms. King?
George Albano.
We didn't recognize you, George.
Yeah.
You shaved your beard.
28 years. And the mustache for 44, so I haven't looked like this since summer of '72.
That was a good
Thank you. Obviously, I know many of the people here on the council, but for those who don't, and for the audience, my name is George Albano. I'm a lifelong Norwalker, and through my work as a local sports writer for the last 4 decades, I've been involved with the sports community here in town. I'm here tonight to show my support for the naming of the new athletic complex at Nathan Hale Middle School, naming the venue in honor of and in memory of the late Connecticut Supreme Court Chief Justice Robert J. Callahan. Mr. Callahan was considered by many to be one of the greatest athletes to come out of Norwalk. Some even say maybe the greatest. He went to high school in this very building, graduated 1948 as class president, and played baseball, football, basketball just a few hundred yards away from where I'm standing. He then went on to star in football at Boston College, signed by the Chicago Bears. When he returned home from military service in 1957, he wanted to see young boys in Norwalk have the opportunity to play organized football. So he was one of the founding fathers of the Norwalk Athletic Association, which organized the first Pop Warner football team in Norwalk. And he himself, Mr. Callahan, was one of the first coaches of the team. But athletics is only half of the Bobby Callahan story. The other half is a highly respected 40-year law career, which began as a prosecuting attorney right here in Norwalk, saw him rise as a judge in the circuit court, then superior court, and in 1985 was nominated to the Connecticut Supreme Court by then Governor William O'Neill. And 11 years later, in 1996, Norwalk's own Robert Callahan became the 34th Chief Justice of Connecticut's highest court. When he passed away on New Year's Day, 2013, at the age of 80, Governor Daniel Malloy said, quote, "Chief Justice Callahan made a lasting impact in Connecticut and on the laws of our state." I would also like to add that early in his law career, Mr. Callahan served on the Norwalk City Council and was chairman of the Recreation and Parks Commission for 2 terms. And finally, I'd like to just close the same way I did when I spoke on 3 previous occasions to your subcommittees, and some of you have probably heard this, but and that is to say that I know that the city of Norwalk and the Common Council takes the responsibility of naming fields and venues and streets very seriously, and I applaud that. I agree with that 100%. Should not be taken lightly. That honor should be reserved for those very special individuals as a way of preserving their memory. The late Robert J. Callahan is such a person. He left a lasting mark on his hometown of Norwalk, both in the athletic and judicial arenas, and I think naming the athletic complex at Nathan Hale Middle School in his honor would be a fitting tribute to one of our city's great citizens. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and
I think it was rather eloquent, and I don't think there would be any questions, but
Okay.
thank you very much, Mr. Albano.
Great. And we do have a member of Mr. Callahan's, one of his 8 children here
Ah,
also.
welcome.
Speak if, Megan Kane?
She'd like to say something, sure.
I am Megan Callahan Kane. I'm here representing one of his 8 children. One of my other sisters is supposed to be here. All I would like to say is that my father would be very honored to have the field named after him. All 8 of us were around in Norwalk. Not everyone's here now, but there's still some of us here in Norwalk. His grandchildren are playing in Norwalk. He loved Norwalk and Norwalk sports. He loved Norwalk and sports, all sports. And he would be very honored. And he would probably be saying, who else should this be named after? Because he was just that kind of person, but he would be very honored to have the fields named after him. And so would his family. And he has grandchildren that practice on that field every day of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're very honored and very privileged to have your father serving our community and our state.
Thank you. We miss him.
Pama Singh Gulati.
I'm here to read a thank you note from Sikh community. It's a great honor for the Sikh community of Norwalk that one of our most important religious days is being recognized by the city of Norwalk as National Sikh Day. On behalf of Sikh community, I thank Honorable Mayor Harry Rillings and entire City Council for this glorious declaration. On this Vaisakhi Day in 1699, our 10th Guru established the Order of Khalsa, that is the Sikh community with its formal code of conduct and physical appearance that you see Sikhs in these days. This day is celebrated as a reminder of Sikh values to ourselves and to the entire world. The Sikh values being equality among all, including men and women, equal rights and standing up for justice, not only for yourself, but for the weak, respect for all religions, earning your livelihood honestly, and sharing with the less fortunate. Lastly, serving the community, serving the humanity and the world. This declaration strengthens our bond with the city and the people of the city, where some of us have grown deep roots, going back 2-3 decades. Norwalk is what we call home. You know, you ask me, where are you from? I'd say Norwalk. You ask me second time, I might budge and say, I'm originally from India. But you ask my child, where are you from? 10 times, the answer will be Norwalk. Born in Norwalk Hospital, they have no other home. Once again, I thank you for your time and consideration in making this declaration. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Renakar Arara.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council, and thank you very much. On behalf of Sikh community, I thank you for this declaration. We are fortunate to be part of the fabric of such community which welcomes the diversity. I am speaking on behalf of Sikh community as a chair for community organization program. I want to mention some of the programs that Gurdwara, we have a privilege to be able to participate and volunteer in Norwalk and Stamford and neighboring towns. Over the past many years we've been doing that, but our effort increased year by year to be part of the larger community. We participate in Memorial Day Parade, serving free water to everyone because we always believe in sharing with others. We do school supplies with Carver Center in Norwalk, with the public school. We have done programs like sandwich drive and food drive, meal preparation for open door shelter. We have also done with the senior homes. Our kids make about 200 sandwiches and give it to serve it with seniors. We do meal preparation for soup kitchens, for women's shelter in Spirica's women's shelter in Stamford. We do Norwalk Cancer Walk, we participate. About 40 members participated this year. And we also participate in Stamford Cancer Walk. Every year, kids wrap about 100, 200 gifts for Inspirica's Toy Drive, which is a Fairfield ride. And we also take part in always increasing our effort to be knowing our neighbors, making friendship with different congregations, getting to know locals. This year we are participating with a lot of dance and food and martial arts for the NICE program that's happening with the city. And we are looking forward to be part of the celebration with the local residents. We have collaborated with an organization called Connect, that is a congregation organization for New Connecticut, where 26 congregations of different faith are coming together and working towards educating about diversity and finding solution to the local communities, whatever is lacking. We've been working actually with education department. We have done diversity training with our police department, where I've personally gone and done the training and build relationship. I know Terry Blake was very helpful at our Vaisakhi, policing our area and helping us feel safe, and I thank you for that. And so we've been privileged to be part of this larger community, and we'll continue to grow our effort to be making good relationship going further. And I thank you again for bringing us here today.
Thank you.
Patsy Brescia.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before I address the items that I would like to address, I was thinking about Judge Callahan, and I had the privilege of sitting next to him when we were both on the city council, and he couldn't wait to get off.
I know how he feels, or how he felt.
He said to me one night, "Oh, get me out of here." Anyway, I am vice chairman of the library board, the Norwalk Public Library Board, and I just want to impress upon all of you how important the current negotiations are to us and to the city, so that we can preserve the location in the heart of Norwalk of our public library. And in addition, I am chairman of the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Board of Trustees, and we have several items here tonight with improvements to the mansion, which we are most happy to have them move forward, especially the project which we call the second phase of Phase 2, and that will be a new approach to the mansion, an enhancement and completion, which is somewhat very important, of our ADA compliance requirements. So if there were any questions, I would be happy to answer, but we're very happy that we're about to break ground on those projects. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else has signed up to address the council. Is there anybody that perhaps came in late or would like to address the council at this time? Seeing none, we will close the public participation session. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resignations and appointments. We have 3 reappointments. First, we have Reverend Jeffrey A. Ingram to the Fair Housing Advisory Commission. Do I have a motion? Ms. Bowman.
Yes, I would like to nominate or move Jeffrey A. Ingram, Reverend Ingram. He is a member, he's a pastor in the South Norwalk community. I think he would be here, except for the Connecticut State Missionary Baptist Convention is going on. He has been on the Fair Housing Advisory Committee, and I believe also on the Norwalk Housing Authority board. He does a great job in the community, and looking forward to seeing him continue.
Thank you. Further discussion? I too know Reverend Ingram, and I think he's a great volunteer and a man who thinks things through and adds a lot to the commission. So Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the reappointment of Lewis W. Clark to the Water Pollution Control Authority. Do I have a motion? Mr. Igneri.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move both Lewis W. Clark and John J. Flynn for reappointment to the Water Pollution Control Authority. I have worked with them for a number of years. I too am on the Water Pollution Control Authority, as is the mayor. And they really understand the workings of the Pollution Authority. They are civil engineers, and they've made a contribution to the WPCA for many years. Interestingly, and they're always there, and it's helpful. So I think they make two great additions.
Thank you. Further discussion? Both were moved at the same time, Mr. Lewis Clark and Mr. John Flynn to the Water Pollution Control Authority. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Igneri. Now it's the mayor's remarks. Obviously, my first remark, I have a proclamation in honor of Vaisakhi Day for the Sikh community of Norwalk. I want to say that my wife and I were very honored and privileged to join with you on April 14th at your house of worship and enjoy some of your food. Although we couldn't stay long, my wife was very, very upset because when you had your open house, we did get a taste of your, oh no, that was the other open house, I'm sorry. But we do in the past have a taste of your food, and it is absolutely delicious. And we're very privileged, and we thank you for inviting us to be a part of that. One of the things I do want to say is that the Sikh community is a wonderful part of our Norwalk community. You're open, you work well with us, you help our economy, you volunteer your time, you do so much for our community. And one of the most heartwarming things that I recall is on the open house at City Hall, right here in this building at the concert hall, shortly after the September 11th attacks on our country. The Sikh community came in unison to stand with us and support us and let us know that they were here for us and that you were as hurt by this as we were. So it was very heartwarming, and it was an absolute difficult time for all of us, but you helped ease our pain by being there to stand beside us, and I thank you for that. So if you would like to come down, I'll read the proclamation and present it to whomever. If you'd like to come down front. We emptied out half the audience. Yeah, that's perfect. That's actually, you lined up very nicely. I like that. That's really great. And thank you. And it's a proclamation, National Sikh Day, April 14th, 2017. Whereas Sikhism is a religion founded in the Punjab region of South Asia over 5 centuries ago and introduced to the United States in the 19th century. And whereas Sikhism is the 5th largest world independent religion with approximately 30 million adherents from diverse backgrounds throughout the world, including 700,000 adherents in the United States. And whereas Sikhs in the United States pursue diverse professions and walks of life, making rich contributions to the social, cultural, and economic vibrancy of the United States, including service as members of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas Vaisakhi is one of the most religiously significant days in Sikh history, commemorating the creation of the Khalsa, a fellowship of devout Sikhs by Guru Gobind Singh in 1699. And whereas the Sikh religion is based on a belief in one God and the equality of all human beings. And whereas the celebration of Vaisakhi includes performing seva, that's selfless service, such as providing free meals to all visitors to Sikh Gurdwaras, houses of worship. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these wrong, pardon me if I'm not, if I am. Now therefore, I, Harry W. Rilling, Mayor of the City of Norwalk, do hereby celebrate, honor, and congratulate National Sikh Day in Norwalk, and witness whereof I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Norwalk, Connecticut, to be affixed this 14th day of April, 2017. Congratulations, and I will present. Thank you. It's already there. Thank you. Thank you. You are all welcome to stay if you wish. Do not feel obligated.
Do not wish.
But you're more than welcome to stay. The rest of my remarks. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I don't know.
Anybody who says that.
So next on, this is the month where Norwalk and other communities around the country celebrate a lot of veterans memorial events. So on Saturday, May 20th, we go to St. John's Cemetery, and we're greeted by the Eagle Riders and other motorcycle groups as well. And we have a group of people who are veteran supporters. I know I just saw Diane Cece here a while ago. She always comes to the event. But we have a flag placing ceremony where King Industries purchases a flag that is eventually, purchases flags that are eventually placed on the grave of every single veteran in the city of Norwalk. And groups form at St. John's Cemetery at 10 o'clock on the 20th. They then divide into groups and go to various cemeteries throughout Norwalk until we end up placing a flag on the grave of every single veteran in Norwalk. It's a great event. On May 21st, the very next day, we have our ceremony at the Shea McGrath Memorial at Calf Pasture Beach Road at 12:30. As many as you know, Shea and McGrath are Norwalk's two Medal of Honor recipients. Norwalk has two members of armed forces, one in Second World War and one in the Vietnam War, that received the Medal of Honor for their heroism. On Monday, the 29th, we have the Memorial Day Parade that steps off at Veterans Park, Monday, May 29th at 10 a.m., and it goes from Vets Park over to the Green. The day before that, Rowayton has their Memorial Day Parade that steps off at 12 o'clock at the beginning of the Rowayton Community Center. This is an opportunity where I believe Norwalk honors their heroes, their war heroes, their veterans, those who have served and have come home, those who have served and weren't fortunate enough to come home. We do so much to honor our veterans, I believe, more than any other community. The first Sunday of every month over at the American Legion, we recognize a deceased war hero. It's well attended. We have the ROTC there from both schools. We have people from our community go. We'd like to see more people come out. This is an opportunity for us to keep the legacy of these military men and women, the heroes, alive by bringing young people and teaching them what freedom is all about and the sacrifices that were made and why we have the freedoms that we enjoy. So I would like to see more people coming out, not only to the parade, and it's a day of fun and picnics and so forth, but have the opportunity to talk to our young people and keep the legacy of those heroes alive and tell them what it means, why we have our freedoms, the sacrifices that were made in order for us to have those freedoms. On May 16th at 6 p.m., we have the citywide student art show. It's in the community room where people from, I think, kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade display the artwork that they have done in our community. If you come out and take a look at some of it, I think you'll find it's absolutely amazing. We have a tremendous amount of talent in our school system, and they are very proud. Their parents come, their awards are given out, and it's really a nice time for everybody. And the young people are so proud to show off their works of art, which will be hanging throughout the community room. And last but not least, on May 17th at 11 a.m., in front of the Norwalk Police Department in the plaza, we have our annual police memorial service. The week of May 15th, back in 1962, was a proclamation by President Kennedy, has been named Police Memorial Week. And the week in which it falls is Police Memorial Week. May 15th is Police Memorial Day. And we recognize the more than 16,000 police officers across the nation who have fallen in the line of duty, 4 of them from Norwalk. So the public is invited. It's a solemn event, and if you would enjoy coming down, please feel free to come down. Those are my remarks. Mr. Igneri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank anyone in the audience who was here earlier for our public hearing on the mall, and to remind everyone that there will be a second public hearing on the mall next Monday, May 15th at 7 o'clock in room 231. Next piece of business, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to move item A1 from the corporate council as the first item to the last item on the agenda for tonight. All in favor? That's unanimous. Next, I will turn the consent calendar over to Mr. Corsello. I'm sorry, I should make a short announcement that I recognize a lot of faces, so your usual council goers, that you understand that when we read the consent calendar, we're going to vote yes on these items. If you hear the item of interest to you and we voted yes, you're free not to stay for the rest of the evening and listen to the other agenda items. Thank you.
Item A1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a 9th amendment to the agreement between the City Emergency Communications Network, LLC, Code Red, for the Code Red Emergency Notification System. The amendment will continue to provide an unlimited minute bank for the compensation amount of $37,500 in fiscal year 2017 through 2018. Item A2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute annual contract renewals with the Emergency Communications Network, LLC, for the Code Red notification service as long as the vendor and cost do not exceed $37,500, remain the same, and the count as noted. Item B4A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a contract with Domus Constructors, LLC, for roof repairs on the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum for a total not to exceed $167,400, account as noted. Item 4B, authorize the Historical Commission to execute change orders on a contract for a total not to exceed $30,000. Item 5A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a contract with Domus Constructors, LLC, for the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum ADA Improvement Project for a total not to exceed $422,474, the funds being available from the state DECD grant, account number as noted. Item 5B, authorize the Historical Commission to issue change orders on that contract for a total not to exceed $37,885. Item 6, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with David Scott Parker Architects, LLC, to provide architectural services for the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum ADA Improvement Project for a total not to exceed $21,700. State grant account number as noted. Item 7A, approve Norwalk Facilities Construction Commission acting in accordance with Norwalk ordinances as the Norwalk School Building Committee for the Ponus Ridge Magnet School Project. Item 7B, authorize the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the Ponus Ridge Magnet School Project. Item 7C, authorize the filing of a school grant application to the State Department of Administrative Services for the Ponus Ridge Magnet School Project. Connecticut General Assembly defined project type is EA/CV extension alteration, also known as extension, also known as alterations, also known as improvements and renovation, CV code violation, also known as hazardous material remediation. Item 10A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with DPM Contracting LLC for ADA alterations at Norwalk High School and Bramwick-Man High School for a total not to exceed $65,888, account number as noted. Authorize the school facilities director to issue change orders on the contract for a total not to exceed $6,588. Item 11, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with PDF Engineering and Construction, Inc. for the Rowayton Elementary School Cafeteria Improvement Project for a total not to exceed $150,000, account numbers as noted. Item 12, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an amendment to Silver Petroselli Associates Design Services contract for West Rock School Window Replacement Project for environmental remediation services for a total not to exceed $24,854. The account numbers as noted. Item C1, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with Tigan Bond for its engineering services for the Rowayton Pond Dam Project for a sum not to exceed $20,000, account as noted. Item C2, approve the 4th Taxing District property extensions through September 30th, 2016, as per the list dated April 5th, 2017. Item 4A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with Seal Coating, Inc. for project number PM2017-3, proposed hot in-place recycling and microservicing for a sum not to exceed $478,840.60. Account number is noted. Item 4B, authorize the Director of Public Works, Bruce Chimento, to execute orders on contract with Seal Coating, Inc. for project number PM2017-3, proposed hot in-place recycling and microsurfacing for a sum not to exceed $47,884.06. Count number is noted. Authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with Prime AE Group, Inc. for scanning and indexing services pertaining to the EDMS Electronic Document Management System project for a sum not to exceed $50,934. Account numbers as noted. And finally, item D1, approve the applications listed in the attached memo dated May 5th, 2017, from Tammy Strauss for referral to the state for inclusion in the 2017 NAA tax credit program.
Hearing the consent calendar is read, does anyone have any changes? Ms. Livingston?
Yeah, I think there was item B5B, I think Mr. Corsello accidentally read 37,885 when it should be 32,885. On item 5, it's B5B on Historical Commission change orders. Just want to correct it to reflect this.
That's 37,000?
No, I think you read 37, Mike, but I think.
Did I?
Yeah, it's 32.
32, okay.
I wasn't listening to myself. If you say so.
Any other comments, corrections? I'll then call for a vote. All in favor of approving the consent calendar as read and corrected?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I turn the council back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Igneri. Item 7B1, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we approve to name the new Nathan Hale Athletic Complex in honor of the late Connecticut Supreme Court Chief Justice Judge Robert J. Callahan as the Honorable Robert J. Callahan Athletic Complex, also to be known as the Judge. And just a couple comments on that, if I could. I never knew Mr. Callahan before my time, but in the course of the committee meetings, particularly with Mr. Albano speaking, he sounds like quite an amazing person. And I think it is certainly fitting that someone with such background and credentials, both as we've heard in athletics in the city, as well as his distinguished career ending as Chief Justice, certainly warrants celebration by the council, and I think this is a great way to do that. The one comment I will make, just for clarification purposes, and we had this discussion at the council meeting, kind of a nit, but the idea is that the athletic complex would be known formally as the Honorable Robert J. Callahan Athletic Complex, with kind of a nickname as the Judge. That would be the goal going forward, but I just want to make that clear.
Thank you. Further discussion? Ms. Maggio.
Me? So when Megan got up and spoke on behalf of her 8 siblings, she said one of her sisters was supposed to join her. And I can attest to the fact that Jane was late because she was at our daughter's lacrosse game screaming her head off. So I think it's pretty fitting that she was late on a day that her father's going to get a sports complex named after him. So I never had the opportunity to interact with Judge Callahan, but it is true that there is a Callahan descendant on that field every single day of the week. All of them are excelling at sports and just a great family. Happy to be friends with you guys.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Bonifant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did get the privilege to know Judge Robert Callahan through many years of going to George Albano's old timers sports banquets, and George did a real good job in the committee, like Mr. Livingston said. And I just want to say that the judge was a really nice guy, always friendly to you, and George said how much he meant to so many of the old timers and the young guys coming up. Second, as you know, that field is beautiful, and I said it before. It's a player's field. The players love playing on that. It could rain for 3 days, and as soon as the sun comes out, you could start playing. It's that the drainage is perfect over there. All right, and the one thing I will say to the family is that now that your name's on the field, we're giving people your phone number when they're parking on William Street or the lights stay on too late. It's all yours.
Mr. Hempstead.
I met Judge Callahan a few times. I know the other half of the clan a little bit better on the prosecutor side of the family. A few of them worked over there at Stu's with me over the years. Plus, their aunt hired me way back when. But I think Judge Callahan represents all the good things about NOAA, all good things about the state of Connecticut. I think it's appropriate that these kind of considerations for naming are people who would contribute, not just in the short term, but a long term, over the history of NOAA, participate in sports, and their name held high over their entire lifetime. It's a real honor to have your father's name on that field. So.
Further discussion? I too knew the Honorable Judge Callahan very well. Loved to hear the stories about him and Tom Flaherty when they were special police officers. The story about the cat in the tree I found out is not true. But anyway, he was a wonderful public servant, a wonderful man, very friendly, and I was proud to call him my friend. So having no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations. Motion passed unanimously. Mr. Livingston, item 7B2.
Okay. Authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a lease agreement with Family and Children's Agency for the 3rd floor of Ben Franklin Center based on utility payment of $2.50 per square foot per year for June 1 of 2017 to August 31, 2017, 4,768 square foot for a total of $3,973.33, and then from September 1, 2017 to August 31, 2019, for 7,127 square feet for a total of $17,817.50 per year, with 1 2-year renewal option, and remaining terms shall be as outlined in Alan Lowe's memo dated April 24th, 2017. I'd like to move the item and just make a couple of comments. As noted in the backup memo, the Family and Children's Agency is moving in. They'd like to lease the space on the 3rd floor. They're doing it in kind of 2 parts. They're filling in the space that's being vacated by the Mid-Fairfield Child Guidance Center, which we'll get to in a minute. But they're also, the goal is to lease the entire 3rd floor for their Aspire after-school program. And just one comment about the $250 per square foot, because I know people have questioned that. That number represents the city's utility costs per square foot per year, and that's what we charge other nonprofits using city facilities. And I think it's important to note as we consider this, that these nonprofits are providing very valuable services for the city. And I think we need, if we look at this number, we have to also look at that as well. And I think this is a great agreement we're entering into, and I fully support it.
Thank you. The item's been moved. Discussion?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm the one that took this off, and I'll make the comment in advance for number 3 also. I just think that we should be getting the $4, which is the break-even point to what it costs us to run that building, and that doesn't include any capital costs later on down the line. So we are subsidizing nonprofits, but Mr. Livingston, you make a good argument that they provide services that we need in the city of Norwalk in the first place. So I'm just going to vote no, because I think we should be getting $4 a square foot and breaking even. That's all.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? 1 opposition. Mr. Bonifant. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Livingston, item 7B3.
All right. This is the corresponding resolution to go with the first one I just read, but it's to authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an amendment to the lease agreement with Mid-Fairfield Child Guidance Center for the 3rd floor of Ben Franklin Center, limited to rooms 301A, 306, 307, and 310, total of 4,768 square foot, based on utility payment of $2.50 per square foot per year, from June 1, 2017 to August 31, 2017, for a total of $1,474.38. And I'll just move the item, and not much more to say other than they are giving up some of their space and will be vacating at the end of August.
Mr. Livingston moved the item. Mr. Bonifant?
No. You could
He already said it all.
just cross off the other part and insert that right here.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Mr. Bonifant opposed. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Mr. Livingston's 7.
Well, I think it's 8, right?
7B, 8A.
8A.
Did you want to move 8A, 8B, and 8C together?
Yeah, I'd like to do that if I could. So 8A, just 8A, approve Norwalk Facilities Construction Commission, NFCC, acting in accordance with Norwalk ordinances as the Norwalk School Building Committee for the construction of a new South Norwalk School on the Ely site. 8B, authorize the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the construction of a new South Norwalk School on the Ely site. And 8C, authorize the filing of a school grant application to the State Department of Administrative Services for the construction of a new South Norwalk School on the Ely site. Connecticut General Assembly defined project is N for new construction. And I'd like to move this item, as I said, and this is really just to permit the, we need to make this filing in order to meet the state project reimbursement approval guidelines of June 30th. Process.
Mr. Livingston moved the item. Discussion? Mr. Sims?
Yes. I personally, I don't think that we should be moving this item. I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. They have not received approval from DEEP, nor have they received authorizations to use the field, let alone build on it. And to just put this forward, I think is just irresponsible as council members here. We're approving them to go forward with the construction on the neighborhood park, open land, that they have not received approval to do so on. And I just think that, you know, we're not doing our jobs correctly if we allow this to go through tonight. I think we should scale this back and wait till we get approval from DEEP before we go forth with giving approvals for any kind of constructions on open land in the neighborhood park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Mr. Kimmel.
Kimmel, right? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, as Mr. Livingston indicated, this is basically, these are technical items of things we've already approved. The state requires us for these projects to move forward to do what we're doing tonight. We've had the discussion several times in the past regarding the approval, so-called approvals, to do what we want to do on this piece of land and on other pieces of land. And it's been pointed out on several occasions that the way the rules work, the state guidelines require us to first move forward just as we have been doing before the issue of approvals will even be entertained. So we can't even deal with the approvals issues until we move forward tonight and begin the process. And at that point, we begin to deal with the approvals from Hartford. So I think we have to move it forward. I don't think it's premature. If there are any questions, some of the questions that have been raised in the past, they will be visited again, but they will never be visited again if we do not move this forward. So I think we have to move forward and then have the discussion with the state regarding the approvals.
Further discussion? Mr. Livingston.
Yeah, I just want to just make sure this is clear. We are not authorizing actual construction at this point. We are approving the NFCC to authorize the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications as noted in the resolution. So this doesn't start construction. This is, as Mr. Kimball said, this is the next step in the process that we have started in terms of building your school.
Ms. Bowman.
Yes, and I did not vote for this in committee, and I won't be voting for it today. Now, I do have a question now to whoever can answer this. Since there's no one here from the Board of Education. How does the Community Advisory Board relate to the Ed Specs Committee?
How is it?
How do they relate? And I don't know if you can answer that question, but.
The superintendent has set up with the board's approval, has set up an SPEC committee already. In fact, I just came from that meeting before, just as a sit-in. This is the second meeting. They need to complete the education spec before June 30th. So there's one more meeting after this one.
And then the committee, there's the NFCC committee, a community advisory board, and an SPECS committee, or? Right, that's the two different things. As I mentioned previously, the Board of Ed's responsibility during the development process, they are fully involved in the educational programming. So with the completion of education spec prior to June 30th, they are very fully responsible for all the education side of the development. But from then on, the city takes on the main role of building the building. So in order to build the building, the city has the Norwalk Facility Construction Commission, which is NFCC. As part of the commission responsibility, the subcommittee set up. We call them the school advisory committee, which is going to work with me and the other staff person to develop the construction, work with the architect and the construction manager to develop the whole construction program. And then that's in addition to the Ed Spec committee.
Right, the Ed Spec committee would disappear after June 30th. So they have no more activity or responsibility. They're done with their role, and it becomes the city's NFCC subcommittee that takes over the responsibility.
And then just one more question is related to the funding for traffic study, and then there was a line item that said widening Ingalls Avenue. And I know you sent an email that explained why the amount was reduced. However, we know that the traffic study is a non-negotiable, so how are we going to work that out?
We will have to do a traffic study, there's no question. So somehow within the budget, I have to find money to allocate money for the traffic study.
Okay. Thanks. That's pretty much it. I'm not voting, I didn't vote for this in the committee and not voting for it along the same lines. We don't have the approval quite yet, and, you know, just the process that it all things went through, so.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? 11 in favor, and Ms. Bowman and Mr. Sims were opposed. Motion carries. Mr. Livingston, item 9A, 9B, and 9C, did you want to move those together?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move all three of these items together. 9A, approve Norwalk Facilities Construction Commission, NFCC, acting in accordance with Norwalk ordinances as the Norwalk School Building Committee for the West Rocks Middle School Window Replacement Project, 2018. 9B, authorize the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the West Rocks Middle School Window Replacement Project, 2018. And then 9C, authorize the filing of a school grant application to the State Department of Administrative Services for the West Rocks Middle School Window Replacement Project, 2018, Connecticut General Assembly. Defined project is EC/CV, Energy Conservation, AKA Window Replacement, CV Code Violation, AKA Hazardous Material Remediation. This is similar to the last one, last two items actually, in terms of this is the next step in advancing this project to the state for reimbursement approval. And I just want to comment on the West Rocks project because there's been a lot of discussion about it. No one's happy that this project is way over budget. It's over budget for a number of reasons I'm sure Mr. Lowe can explain more about. But be that as it may, it's a project that needs to be done. Leaving aside the energy efficiency of the windows are literally falling out, so something needs to be done. And again, nobody's happy with the amount of money, but it is what it is at this point.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Kimmel.
Yeah, I want to point out, during some of the discussions at the Board of Ed Facilities Committee, we questioned Silver Petroselli on literally the doubling of the costs when they discovered things once they got into the project, things that had to do with PCBs and also a strange configuration of the windows in relation to the heating system and the ceiling, and which they didn't know about. And the issue came up, which I think we have to deal with going forward, is how do you fold in potential remediation costs into initial cost estimates? Apparently that didn't happen with this project and other projects. And we've been discussing this off and on now for a couple of months, and I think as we go forward for all city projects, we have to demand up front from whoever is doing the work that to the extent possible, based on a building's history, the type of materials and everything else they know, what the potential remediation costs will be, because these costs can be astronomical. And you can literally double the cost of a project. Perhaps if we were doing a citywide window replacement, we would have been so shocked that we would have to spread it out over 3 or 4 years when initially we were planning to do it in 1 year. So going forward, we shouldn't find ourselves in this situation again. And whatever RFPs do go out, or however they work it on the Board of Ed side, we have to make sure that those costs are somehow estimated going forward, because apparently in this project, they weren't. And when we discussed some of the other school projects and the escalating costs, there were a variety of issues related to square footage and the cost per square footage and magnet schools and all that. But we didn't have a clear picture on what the remediation costs would be. So that's something that the city has to change. So early on, when we're making decisions about projects, we have a clearer idea of the overall costs and how long it'll take to fund it. Right now, we will get a third of the way into the project, and then we say, oh my, what are we going to do? And that's not a good way to proceed. So, well, I think we learned hopefully we learned a lot from this Windows project, which initially was going to be 1 summer. And now we've had to spread it over 2 summers because of this. And we should have known early on, at least a lot earlier than we did find out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bonifant.
Thank you very much. And both of the previous speakers, Mr. Livingston and Mr. Kimmel, kind of laid out the scenario pretty well. At this point, this project is over $3 million, and doing a short amount of math, that if you're wasting $10,000 worth of heating oil right out the window, and you're fixing a few that fall out, it's gonna, to make up for that, for what we're doing, it's gonna cost you 300 years to make up for that amount. You're looking at, I don't know, I'm just estimating 100 windows, it's like 30 grand a window. It's a lot of money, and it's kind of getting a little out of hand there. And you're not getting the whole school, you're just getting a part of it, just a wing in the front, right? As you face from West Rocks looking at this front of the school, you're just seeing that front part that's in front of you there, right?
If you combine the two phases, all the windows, this summer we're doing the
Come to the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This summer, when we're doing the phase one, it's the window facing the parking lot, the drop-off area.
Right.
So phase two, which is the next summer, 2018, is include the back windows and the remaining new windows.
So every window in the school will be done by the...
Except the one that was done in 2000.
Okay.
We did a few windows in
All right.
2000.
I get you. Thank you.
Isn't there also a entryway included in this by state standard, or is that another project?
Yeah, that originally, when we first looked at it, there wasn't a requirement to do a security checkpoint kind of thing in the front. So what happened is before you just walk into the building, right now we have a push button, a security alarm, and butts all open. But the new requirements that we have with water education with all schools is that when we do a renovation project or improvement, we have to create a vestibule, a lockable, secured, and some kind of security entrance so that you actually beep somebody in twice. So you go for the front door and then you stop and then you got beep again to get into the building. So that's additional cost, and there's a whole bunch of security upgrade that we had to do as part of the window replacement project.
Mr. Kimmel.
Yeah, I want to take a different view. Mr. Bonifant is absolutely right when it comes to the math, but let's make sure we're clear. I don't think this is not an energy savings project. We have 4 middle schools in Norwalk right now. One of those middle schools, the windows are, number one, falling apart, and number two, are full of PCBs. And we are a city that's growing. We want to attract people, and we can't have 25% of our middle schools raising all kinds of questions among folks who are looking to move to Norwalk. Hey, man, did you hear about their schools? The windows are full of PCBs. They won't fix them. They're falling apart, and they're just not going to fix them. And I'm not sure about that town. You can't do that. There are children in there, there's staff in there, and the windows need to be fixed, first of all, and they need to be safe. They need to be decontaminated. There's something we have to bite the bullet and pay the money. I get it. From an energy point of view, I wouldn't pay the money either. It doesn't work out in a cost-benefit analysis. But you got young kids and teachers and staff in those buildings, and I don't think they're going to be comfortable if once they know that the windows are loose, the winds are they're loose, you can't open them, you can't shut them, you're not sure what's going to happen. They're full of PCBs, and we should allow it to remain that way. Remember, right now we funded last year because we thought it was so important. I think it was $500,000 we took out of the Board of Ed's facilities request, and we moved it over so asbestos abatement occur in Cranberry School. All right, now we can take the same logic about what are the chances that there's going to be asbestos contamination, how a kid will be affected, or this, that, and the other thing, and come up with a logical financial excuse to not fund it. But it's really expensive, and that stuff is really dangerous. So we can't allow our schools to exist in this state when we have to deal with the remediation. It's something that should be a line we don't cross. This is very dangerous stuff, and it's very costly. And last night I happened to be in a discussion with former Deputy Superintendent Greenwich Schools, and she was telling us about the school officials hate to go down this road, even when they know they have to because the expense is involved when it comes to remediation. But it's something you can't avoid. You tend to put it off as long as you can, but you reach a point, like I said, where windows are falling out, Remember, these windows have to be raised, they have to be lowered, you do this, you do that, and they're contaminated. No one wants to do that. I doubt if you do it in your home. I know teachers would have raised holy hell in the school I worked in if we knew that was the case. I worked in a school which was closed down for 4 months because of asbestos, and the parents wouldn't let their kids come. It didn't matter whether the school was open, and I think a lot of parents in Norwalk would feel the same way.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Hempstead.
Just for clarification, because something was said on the last item, and I'm trying to find it. Is it not true, how do you ask it this way, that once the council designates the Facilities and Construction Committee, that they have complete oversight of the project? They get to pick the architect, they get to pick the general contractor, they get to pick they get to plan the general design. Once the council has quote-unquote authorized. Is that not true?
Yes, operationally, yes. But legally, in terms of contracting, everything has to go out to bid. Everything had to go for NFCC and then to land use and to the Common Council. So when we hire an architect, NFCC's responsibility as a subcommittee would be doing the interview, but the recommendation would go to NFCC and then to land use, and finally the Common Council authorized the mayor to execute an agreement with the architect. And so is the construction manager, the same process. So every step of the way, it will come through the council in order to execute all the contracts.
But I'm asking, they have oversight for the entire planning of a project, be it windows or anything else, once we designate it?
Yes.
The way my understanding. So
the oversight, right, but not the
you're right,
legal
the contracts will
responsibility.
have to come back to the council.
Right.
But basically, the council's handed off to NFCC that this is your project, come back to us when you need money, or pick an architect, basically.
Right, and the NFCC's ability to spend money, it's exactly what the council authorized them to do. So when the council authorized the contract for $2 million, and then with contingency for NFCC to use for a change order, they are limited to that amount that the council authorized them.
Oh, I understand the dollar amount, but they're still in charge of the project.
Right.
Further, Ms. Bowman.
And yeah, I'm gonna vote for this, and it's a very important project to get done. This happens a lot with when we're building. We start with one estimate, and then things kind of, the price increases. It happened with row 8 in school. It's happening here. That is actually one of my concerns with the Nathaniel Ely site. We have PONUS we have to go into, and then we have Nathaniel Ely site where we have to, we have the unpredictables of dredging rock. So that was really one of my main concerns. When it's an existing building and it's a health issue, we definitely have to do it. But it's something definitely to keep in mind. And I've been on land use both terms, so I know I don't make these things up. But we need to, this is important.
Further discussion?
Might as well
Mr.
chime in.
Kites.
Thank you, sir. I might as well chime in. Solar Petrucci's original estimate for the project, did it allocate any funding towards PCBs or remediation?
No. Typically, when we go to architects, we do not go do an environmental study at that point. So when the architect submit proposal to the city, environmental analysis and testing, it's part of within their contract, but they have no idea what the extent is. So there's no estimate done at that point in terms of construction costs.
So, being on land use the last term, and Solar Petrucci does pretty much every project I've seen come before us. So I know they're familiar with our schools, the PCBs. I think they dealt with Rowayton Elementary, correct?
Yes.
So, in knowing you, Ms. Allen, I'm sure you were aware that the possibility of there be PCBs in these windows were high. I'm sure everyone was aware that it was going to be an issue moving forward.
The city is not required to test for PCBs legally.
Right,
It's
right.
a decision that we make because when you dispose the window in the dumps, they require you to provide a technical evaluation of the material.
And just out of curiosity, the cost of this project doubling, what percentage of that would you say was directed towards remediation? Because I understand there's some structural, some HVAC issues. Would you say?
I would say about 30%.
30%?
Off the top of my head.
And the rest was going towards rerouting HVAC and so forth?
We supporting the heating system And also the vestibule is one thing, and also improving the quality of the security of the glass. It's another item that we added on. Because at that point, when the architect first looked at it, before he did the estimate, the Board of Ed does not have the security requirements for exterior window established at that time. So during the design process, we added the security windows on the lower level of the windows.
And I'm assuming all these windows are not tempered, right?
More than tempered.
I'm sorry?
More than tempered.
The new ones.
Oh, the new ones, right.
The new ones, sorry.
The existing ones.
Yeah, the new ones, we had to go up to 6 feet for special glass.
Okay, thank you for clearing that all up for me.
Mr. Kimmel.
In the late 90s, and you probably remember, Alan, the West Rocks Middle School, an $857,000 change order, $857,000 change order, almost 20 years ago, because of asbestos discovered pretty far into the project. The council we had, we paid for it. We had no choice. Like I said, it was asbestos. And I don't remember it was done over one summer or 2 summers. They found it up in the ceiling, and they decided to do the floor since the building was going to be contained. So here's a building that's got a history. All right, it was built at a certain time. Windows were made a certain way. They were put in a certain way. And I'm not even convinced by the arguments I've heard about the unique structural arrangement between the windows, the heating system, and the ceiling. I just don't buy that completely. My feeling is if you hire first-rate architects and whoever else you may need, you won't find yourself in a situation where the price will double. That's what I find strange here. They presented us something we thought going forward would be like 1.6 million, and it almost doubled or a little bit more than doubled. I forget the details. That shouldn't happen. We have to plan. And I can't accept the argument there were some unique factors in this school because this school already had a history of certain problems required very expensive decontamination. So, and I'm also told I've also heard that if you do hire the first-rate folks who deal with this, or you hire the appropriate folks, early on you can get a fairly decent cost estimate. But that's got to be a decision the city makes. I'd rather spend a little more up front to not have to be shocked later on, because that allows us to plan what we're going to do over a period of time, which, you don't have to, you can do, if you plan to do it in one summer, you should be able to do it in one summer, because you want to coordinate a variety of projects. And I don't think the way we're doing it right now, and I stand by what I said before, I think we've got to look into the upfront costs to the city in terms of the sticker shock later on if we don't do those upfront costs, and how that affects planning. That's my view on this.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? 12 in favor, Mr. Bonifant opposed. Motion carries. Mr. Igneri, 7C3, I believe.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Hempstead.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I will not participate in item number C3 and number C36. And I want to just straighten something out. It's the old story, you ask 2 attorneys, you get 3 opinions. And that's, jokingly, I say that, but a lot of times it's true. I went to 2 different attorneys in an attempt to try and get some clarity on the code of ethics in relationship to the job I have at Sooners. I'm presently doing some negotiations with GGP. It's a national company. They are my understanding is, the way they're set up, they're individual companies and are individual people handling this that are not associated with the people I'm involved with. And I angst over this, and that's why I participated last week, because I didn't think I was in violation of anything on our code of ethics, but I angst some more, so I got another attorney just to get an opinion. And they gave me their opinion. They didn't think I did, but they said, if you're angsting over it, why don't you remove yourself from it? And I think it was probably the best piece of advice I got. So just apologize to my colleagues if there's any confusion. I added the situation by participating last week, but at this point moving forward, I'll just stay out of the participation in any of this particular items with GGP. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hempstead. Let the record reflect that Mr. Hempstead has recused himself from item 7C3 and item 7C6.
And now I'm on.
Mr. Igneri.
Item C3, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an easement agreement with Norwalk Land Development LLC for installation and maintenance of tiebacks / soil nails and soil nail walls under North Water Street and Pine Street Extension in connection with the construction of the Sono Collection Project.
Mr. Igneri moves the item. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I didn't pull it off, but, and then I think I had forgot to, that I may have wanted to pull it off, but since it's off, I just wanted to just state, for the record, and for the video that this will be happening in between the two, GGP plots. That's what we're talking about, and then also on the Pine Street, which is, in between, where Macedonia is. They have said it's not going to be any interfering construction, but at the same time, just want to make a note of that so that they know. I know that Reverend Dancy did speak in favor of Macedonia, in favor of the project, so I think they can be good neighbors. I think this gentleman's here. Good neighbors. If they're going to be, is going to be any construction, make sure you let them know. I think you said it's not going to be much. And I only say that because there was a large transformer, and I brought this up at Public Works that popped up near Townhouse Gardens. Turns out that the council did not approve that, and that came from CTDOT or the MTA and not from us, although there was some information. But it is a large transformer, and those types of things do, it surprises the residents when they pop up. So we just try to be informative when things like that happen.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Igneri.
Item C6, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an escrow agreement with Norwalk Land Development LLC for Sono Collection Inspection Services of sum not to exceed $299,730. So moved.
Mr. Igneri moves the item. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed?
Oh, I'm in favor, I'm sorry.
It carries 12-0 with Mr. Kites absent. Next item on the agenda is the executive session, I believe. A motion to go into executive session by Mr. Igneri. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We are now in executive session. We are out of executive session. During executive session, no motions were made, no votes were taken.
Motion to adjourn.
And we're out of executive session at 9:42, and at 9:42, Mr. Hempstead makes a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
People, you want to continue talking with